It always amazes me about, the strength and the conviction and the rightness of the right to life movement. Life is precious, and we should preserve life and allow life to come in. And yet, at the same time, I mentioned the fact that many of those same individuals are very careless about anxiously having the selective service and having a draft. One time I had a debate on the House floor with conservatives who were all in favor of the selective service. I was trying to defend the selective service. And I chastised them a bit. I said, in many ways, you think more of your guns than you do of your kids. You don't want your guns registered, but you want the government to register our kids. But we should never forget the teachings of the Christian church about a just war. The Christian church, in my understanding, there's always room for debates, but in my understanding, in my Christianity, that I do not have to accept total pacifism. That I have a right, if somebody walks in my house, I can defend myself. And the Second Amendment protects me on that, too. And that we as a nation have a right, if somebody's going to attack us, if there is even an imminent attack, or if they do attack us, we have a right to protect ourselves and use violence against this threat of violence. The big problem is that when we go too far and spread ourselves too thin around the world and consume our wealth, it undermines our national defense, and that's where we are today. Our military is ill-equipped, and their morale is low, and of course, if you want our guard unit to protect something on our borders, or if we need a guard unit to take care of an emergency weather problem, where are our troops? They're over in the Middle East. We need to bring them home. And another group of people we would like to bring home. How about those 120 to 150 border guards that we took off our border and sent them to Iraq to train them to protect the borders over there? We need them home as well. But in the just war theory, there's a set of standards that we should follow. I think they're very reasonable. It's reasonable to have a defensive war. If we're attacked, we can do it. But the response should be proportional. And one thing is interesting, that doctrine says the proper authority should declare the war, which means that we should strongly resent the fact that we now, including this transfer of power to go into Iraq, I resent very much that we send our kids over there to enforce UN resolutions. That's bad. I said that Warren said that health is the war is the health of the state. Inevitably, even throughout our history, before this 20th century, war did lead to the undermining of our personal liberties. During the Civil War period, World War I and on. Sometimes we recapture those liberties and sometimes not. So whether it's a war overseas, our civil liberties are threatened. Whether it's a war against drugs, our civil liberties are threatened.